R8 is definitely going to be the better flagship.
Reading a lot of forums. I'm Tegra69 on the forums.
We are looking at a 2009 Audi R8. We're going to go ahead and start it up. Exhaust on this is not stock, although the tips on the car are stock. The plumbing behind it is not, and you can hear it's got a nice little bark when it starts up. Couple of things with the aftermarket wheels. The TPMS light is on with the aftermarket spoiler. The rear spoiler warning light is also on, meaning that it's inoperative because we now have a fixed spoiler instead of the factory one. But again, this was in response to the NSX, so everything in this car just falls readily to hand. Ergonomics are excellent, clear and crisp gauges, speedometer reading all the way to 220 miles an hour, flanked by oil temp, voltage, and then your fuel gauge and temp on the top of the gauges. This does have Audi's first iteration of its MMI multimedia interface. It's, you know, fine for this generation of screens, but it's obviously not quite up to date with what you would find today in any kind of modern car, but it does the job. Down here you have wonderfully simple dials to regulate your climate control and fan speed. Heated seats. Actually, mine is on, so I'm going to turn that off. You know, this Audi was really trying to make this a bit of a grand tour with the amenities that you get inside, and not just an all-out sports car. And I think they did a really fine job. There's nothing difficult in here. There's nothing compromising. And I think the NSX really kind of helped set the template for how this car turned out. Now, the one thing you're going to notice, and it's kind of the big elephant in the room here, is the transmission, because this R8 is not a manual. It is the Tiptronic, the first generation Tiptronic. So right now you can see I'm in neutral. If I click this over one, we're now in automatic mode. I'll put automatic mode in quotation marks because it is hilariously jerky. It's really not good. So really the way to drive this car is clicking it over one more, putting it into manual mode, and using the paddle shifters on either side of the steering wheel, and driving it like you would a manual car, where you let off the throttle between gear changes. Driven in anger, you don't have to do that, and downshifts are really fast, provided you put the transmission in sport mode. So a couple of other things about the R8 that I find interesting inside. I spent about 10 minutes looking for a way to open the fuel filler cap this morning. It's hidden behind the driver's door handle, and there's a tiny little button here for that gas door to open. The frunk button is just in front of that. There is a hilariously small trunk in the R8. I'll show it to you. And it really is kind of the major detractor of this car if you're going to take long weekend trips. That is the only space you have. Yeah, I treated myself to a new set of trail runners. So most of the front space is consumed by my new trail runner box, my jacket, and really that's it. You don't have room for anything else. There's no room behind because that is just all motor back there. Here's the non-stock exhaust, even though those are stock looking tips. Let me close the door so it stops gonging us, and I'll just blip it one time so you can hear it. Sounds pretty wicked. And And then another detail that I noticed is they gave you hooks behind the rear seats, I guess to hang your dry cleaning, but where in the world are you really putting dry cleaning inside this car? So kind of a funny detail that Audi chose to include in the R8. You do have cup holders in the center console, and behind that you have a CD player. You do notice that Audi thoughtfully included a flat bottom steering wheel, and the rim diameter is perfect. It's not overly thick, it's not too thin, but really this car is all about the drive. Stay tuned for the driving video.